Hello, everyone, and welcome to our latest member spotlight with Freedom Healthcare. Today, I'm excited to introduce you to Jean Hilton of Thrive Alive Wellness. So, welcome, Jean.
Welcome. Thank you. Thanks for having me. So glad to be here.
Excited to hear more about Thrive Alive Wellness. So I'm going to let everybody know a little bit about your background. So Jean holds a master's degree in holistic nutrition and health education and is a certified nutritional consultant. She has studied Lyme disease extensively as a result of her own journey from Lyme survivor to Lyme thriver. I love that. Jean is a certified Lyme specialist and member of the International Lyme and Associated Disease Society. She uses high frequency immunotherapy methods to support progress for the most sensitive cases of Lyme and related immune challenges. These methods acknowledge the needs of the most complex and long term cases of complex illness and how the body can make improvements via homeopathic, lifestyle, supplemental, and dietary upgrades. And in 2024, Jean also became a certified Recode practitioner, which is reversing cognitive decline, with Dr. Dale Bresenden's Apollo Health program. And based on symptom presentation and lab results with functional blood chemistry, Jean uses diet, lifestyle, and targeted supplements to form the foundation of wellness. She also uses strategies such as heart math biofeedback, meditation, and medical Qigong to support the brain and limbic system balance for long-term improvements. So awesome. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So tell me a little bit about the background. So the name of the clinic, what you actually do, your scope of work, but how did Thrive Alive Wellness come into being?
Um, well, I worked for about 5 years in the Bay Area with Universal Wellness Associates, being mentored by some of the best in the industry, and I loved it. And we moved out of California, and it was time for me to spread my wings and do my own thing. And this concept of thriving, not just surviving, just clung to me. My journey with complex illness has been a long time in the making. My two of my sisters passed after long, complex chronic illness. One was sick for 20 and one for 12 years. And so when I had symptoms and I had complex illness, I decided to go a different way and started studying homeopathy, acupuncture. I went to acupuncture school just for 1 year, and then I really landed on the key that nutrition is first for me, and that I have to make it accessible. And so that's how Thrive Alive came to be. I wanted to bring all of these modalities together, whether it's, and at this point, I love working remotely with people wherever they are, both geographically and wherever they are with their diet and lifestyle, to just invoke those things that are built into us, right? I'm using homeopathy to teach the immune system to see these pathogens that are created to try to thwart our immune system and can cause long-term complex symptoms and generally lead to a lot of medical trauma. And so that's where I tend to work the most, is after some medical trauma, then coming to the source, making a difference.
Oh. So dig into a little bit more, like what do you do with your clients? What does that scope of work look like?
Okay. So I begin every person that comes to me, we start with a free 15-minute phone call. I want to know if I really am a good fit or if I should be sending them on to someone else. And I get a sense of what their core is at that point. And then we order through LabCorp, kind of, it's about 55 markers of a complete blood panel with key things that doctors can't necessarily, with all of the limitations, can't order. And also kind of tuned into what from that initial analysis, they might need. And so I do a deep analysis with that. I use the ODX software to go deep into what does this pattern look like? What is this body needing? I do symptom analysis with more paperwork than a human should have to complete. and and then I add a couple of other things. I was at the ILADS conference. I mentioned this to you earlier. I was at the ILADS conference in 2018, and it showed that qPCR testing data was presented. It wasn't published until 2020, but it was presented showing that qPCR testing has a 50% false negative rate compared to DD PCR testing, which immediately put me into a bit of a crisis, right? That's not the level of accuracy that I like to work with. So I
And
started making
explain to people what that test stands for.
that's qualitative PCR testing, where they take the DNA sequence, a certain length of DNA sequence, and use that to determine if that direct testing is going on in your stool or bloodstream or whatever sample they have. So they're using DNA to find X, Y, or Z. And with DD, direct droplet PCR testing, they took a longer segment. And at the time, it was only available in the research labs. It's beginning to hit the market, which is exciting to me. But with that longer segment, they learned in that original study, it was 112 samples. There had been 6 positives in the original qPCR test, and in the extended, the DD, there were 53, I believe 53 positives. That's a horrific level of inaccuracy, and that leads to a lot of medical trauma. So I had to go to, there's got to be more we can do here to serve these people who are suffering. And so bioresonance testing, it's sort of like muscle testing through a machine on a grand scale. And I had a client that learned about me through a conference in London, and she was able to access bioresonance testing right there at the hospital, you know? So I found a system that specifically looks for the frequency, the signature of known pathogens that will so often be missed through conventional testing and can just lead to so many devastating results. So it's not a medical test. I'm not diagnosing, but I'm using homeopathy, frequency specific, like the homeopathics are sussed using that DNA base of that whole genus. So all the Borrelia, all the Bartonella forms, right? So it's giving me good information to then use these really natural immune training techniques to help the body, as it's designed, overcome these challenges, not to kill it, because these pathogens have wonderful techniques for going deeper and hiding in your tissue to make sure they survive after the killing treatment. And often that's neurological tissue and collagenous tissue. So it is a perfect storm for cognitive decline. So I use homeopathy and let the body do the work. Right.
So, how did you choose this career path and this type of education and healing? Like, how did you come this direction?
Yeah, no, I didn't. It kind of chose me. It was not long after my first sister passed. And So I had had just a wrist injury, and it triggered complex regional pain syndrome, or the other name is reflexive sympathetic dystrophy. It's like the number one pain syndrome. It's like number one on the pain scale. So essentially you're living like you're in labor 24/7. And and I had seen with my sisters enough to know what I wasn't going to do. And so I lived that way for a while without the painkillers and kind of gave up on my life, like I'll just suffer until the Lord is kind and takes me home. And and then I was directed, very much directed to acupuncture and Village Acupuncture in Roseville, Norrico. She cured me in 6 weeks. And I was the third person she had cured, right? With this niche disease, right? And so I I was cured in April, and I was in Oriental Medical School by fall at Berkeley, and I just wanted to understand what had just happened to me and how this kind of healing isn't mainstream. It just didn't make sense to me. And I had a dream of going, like taking acupuncture to the RSD conferences. And at a certain point, I came to understand that many of the medical interventions block the natural systems of the body, and the acupuncture can't be as effective. In fact, my early choice not to take some of the medicines allowed me to be healable.
Yeah. Wow.
So I ended up pivoting and going to nutrition, the building block, and finding other ways to stop the process, not block the symptoms. And that's key. Trusting that our body has what it needs to heal itself. We don't have to block symptoms and block systems of the body.
Yeah, it's interesting just thinking about what you said. If your sisters were going through all of the drugs that are given by the legacy system, they really are just band-aids. They're masking what's actually happening. So you not taking those, your body was awake and aware to actually have something that was going to heal you, that wasn't masking everything.
Yeah. It was kind of a devastating realization, just that
Yeah.
when you walk out of the doctor's office with an RSD diagnosis, they give you two things: opioids and suicide prevention. And and
Oh,
neither of those would be necessary if we were healing.
right.
Right?
That's the goal. Right.
Right. And so for
Wow.
me, I really felt like this second part of my life was a gift. I shouldn't actually be here, but
Mhm.
I feel like I was definitely given this extra time, and I just want to use it to help other people not have pain.
Wow. I love it. I love it. So how do you collaborate with Freedom Healthcare? What do you offer Freedom Healthcare members?
Yeah, I'm so excited by this concept of Freedom Healthcare. It's just like-mindedness, and we're all working to heal in the ways that we've been guided to and led to. And I think that's so powerful. Um, so I do have an offer that I'll have you put up, that we can take 10% off of my individualized nutrition package. And that includes the extensive blood panels, the analysis. If you are near a site that I can do the bioresonance testing with you, I can do that remotely, and I have different locations. Um, then we do that. And then I sit down and do an analysis. I present you with a 30-minute video of this is what your labs are saying and what it really matters, looking at the patterns and the ranges. And then we have an individual nutrition, lifestyle, dietary program for you. I'm such a big fan of sustainable agriculture and treating animals the way they should be treated, honoring them. As Joel Salatin says, the cowness of the cow and the chickenness of the chicken. And this also provides food sources that are deeply enriching and bioavailable nutrients that are needed for wellness. And so I developed sort of I call it counterculture health. Um, Growing things on your counter, fermentables like water kefir, and bringing in sulforaphane sources like sprouts that are bioavailable. They're not if they're in supplementation. And so sustainable, everyday like no matter where you live, even if you're in a little apartment, you can have your own sustainable food sources on your kitchen counter. So I like to bring in things like that.
I love that. I've been doing that. Gosh, I don't even know how long now, years. I make my own sprouts, sit on the counter. I've got alfalfa sprouts. I do lentil sprouts. I've got greens. I'll grow greens. People don't realize how fast they grow, how good they are for you. I mean, you can have jars of sprouts in 3 days
Yes.
and throw them into, organic healthy salad. And it's just that extra boost of like fresh, super food right there for you. And you can grow it yourself. It's super
And
easy.
for pennies, and for
I
pennies.
know.
And when you really get into the research about some of the probiotics and some of the antioxidants that we take through supplementation, so much of it has been destroyed just in the necessary process to get it to you. So this autonomy is good for the spirit and for the actual nutritional intake.
And it's fun too. It's fun watching them, rinse them out, grow in the water. They grow every 3 days and they taste great in salads. And I've got bags of seeds that are going to last forever because it's like just
Well,
need a few tablespoons every few days. Every time you make some, just a few tablespoons, all these different flavors and broccoli sprouts and just lots of good stuff. I
and
love
with
it. I love it.
like the water kefir, kombucha has some marvelous, wonderful benefits, but it also tends to be higher in molds and sugars and takes so long to grow. And so
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of water kefir because you have so much fun and it's a broader probiotic profile.
So explain the water kefir. Explain what that is or how you do it.
Well, it's like they're little water grains. They're water kefir grains. They're little scobies, synergistic colonies of bacteria and yeast. They're eating sugar water. And again, within days, within 3 days, that cycle you're ready to move into the next level of fermentation and restart your growth, just like your sprouts. And you can mix it with, for that second ferment, it can be fruits, dried fruits, juice. You can have so much fun with the flavor. And that probiotic is growing and living and yummy, and it's not so packaged. And so
So
it's a,
is it a liquid? Are you drinking it like kombucha? It's a liquid?
yes, it's much
Okay.
milder than kombucha. And I
Okay.
love kombucha,
Yeah.
but it's a lot more work to grow.
Yes.
And water kefir, anybody can do, and you can
Where
have
do
a
you get where do you get the little water kefir pearls? Where do you get those?
well, and I'm so against supplements on Amazon, but you can get your water kefir grains on Amazon. And
I was
it's
I'm like, there's a lot of good organic stuff in there. Like if you need something in a pinch,
right,
it's at
exactly.
your doorstep. So
So fast, so
I
fast.
love
But
it. I'll have to
yeah,
look into that. I make my own kombucha, but you're right. There is a lot of sugar and it takes a month and then you add the fruit and it takes another couple weeks or whatever.
and if
So
you are struggling with like high histamine issues, then kombucha can be detrimental. So
yeah,
yeah, depending on
yeah.
the person, it's always
I'll,
individualized.
I'll have to try that. It sounds like fun. It sounds like fun. Anything on the counter is good. So what one key point or takeaway would you like to share with everybody watching today?
Mm, that's a tough one. I guess trust your body, trust the ancients, trust what we've been given. And I yeah, I guess that's really the biggie is that always have hope no matter what the doctor ends up saying to you, no matter what you're experiencing in the now, there's hope and every day is a step toward your better wellness. Yeah, I think that's the takeaway. Trust, trust the system that you've been
Your
given.
body.
I was going to mention the history of homeopathy. I love this history that in the US, medical schools were homeopathic until they were bought out, right?
Yep. Yep.
And so we're kind of even going back to, as a country, our roots as we
Yeah.
go back toward homeopathic remedies that are not
Yep.
medical treatments, but boy, they make you feel better.
Coming from nature, coming from what we had to begin with. Yeah, when I started looking into the history of, the 1819s and what Rockefeller and Rothschild did to the system, and then the Flexner Report in 1910, I was like, wait, we had everything we needed before to be healthy and healed. And then this system took over and everybody's never been sicker. So it's like God said, He goes, I'm resetting the axis, I'm turning things right side up, is what He told me. So it's like we are going back to the original, we are going back to creation, which is what He gave us to begin with. So I love it that we're all these providers, and you're now part of Freedom Healthcare. All of these practitioners and providers are coming together as a community of healers for people to find what fits, because everybody does something different. I used to think in the beginning, oh, we're going to have a bunch of little Freedom Healthcare clinics, and that was not it. The point is, every practitioner brings something different to the table in regards to helping people heal. And people can find the ones that are right for them to help them heal, because there's not a one size fits all. God gave us everything in nature and everybody's different. So it's helping us help people get to those practitioners that can help them be healed. So I'm super excited that you are part of the family.
I'm so glad to be here. It is so great to be a part of such an amazing community. Thank you for your work.
Thank you. I'm just a hands and feet, just doing what God told me to do. That's it. We just keep plugging along. Well, thank you for being here today, and thank you everybody for watching. And you can check out Thrive Alive Wellness through Freedom Healthcare on our website, and members will get that beautiful little gift that she is giving. So thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for our next member spotlight. See you later. Bye-bye.